guys, Justin Henry. Welcome to another episode of EmergeUp. Today we're going to be sitting down with Will Thompson, aka Good Thompson, and Mr. Good Inc. himself. And we're going to talk a lot about the creative community, but also how branding on social media is so important in today's industry, using a platform like Instagram to grow yourself, grow your business, create that transparency, that authenticity that's missing with a lot of these brands. So I'm excited to talk to him about his journey and how he's got to this point. But also talk a little bit more about his expertise in the field and what's he seeing in the future from this creative community. Check it out. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of EmergeUp. Today I'm with Will Thompson. How are you doing today?
Sir, good, how are you?
Good, man, great as always. And we're going to be talking a lot about the creatives and community in general, and just what impact social media can have on somebody building a brand, or perhaps a company building a brand as well. So Will, tell us a little bit about yourself and your creative community.
Well, my name's Will. Obviously, I'm Good Thompson on Instagram. I am a professional photographer now. I started getting into photography about 8 years ago, actually. So it's been a while. Back in 2011, I got started through Instagram, actually. And I realized the impact that Instagram was having on the community around me.
Right.
And so I kind of put myself out there to be a leader and to be a voice for other people that I felt like were coming up in the creative world and coming up as photographers.
Right, like a pioneer, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so you were on Instagram and kind of just took that journey on. What was it like early on building that community up?
Early on, it was lonely, honestly. Yeah. Like, it was just, we started doing photo meetups back in, I think 2011 was the first year we did one. And the first meetup we did, we had 9 people there. So it wasn't cool to be on Instagram. It wasn't cool to be a photographer. It wasn't like the in thing. But I noticed that it was a great way to reach people. And so I saw the potential in it. So I saw an idea. I had kind of a thought of what it could be, and I stuck with it.
Yeah, I think that's such a key point that you make, about that loneliness early on, because you don't have necessarily the platform, right. You don't have necessarily the audience early on. You have to earn that trust. You have to earn that. And, I talk with business owners a lot about the same thing. They come in and they expect to have, a massive audience when they've never been on the platform. And I like that you mentioned, that early stage of Instagram where there was a lot going on. Yeah. There wasn't, a billion users on it. People weren't spending 2 hours a day watching it. I know you talked a little bit about Instagram initially early on and kind of taking advantage of those early stages. Right? And developing, and like I said, being almost a pioneer, so to speak, in that industry. Talk to me a little bit about Good Inc. And that community is built up into something crazy, especially out here in the Sacramento community, it's recognized. But just talk a little bit about how those early stages, when you had 9 people come into your events, and what that's transpired into now.
I think early on, it really, me having a lack of people to reach out to as a photographer in Sacramento, and there not really being a community for people, that's what I really wanted to establish. So my motivation was really to give back to people.
Right.
So it didn't bother me that it was slow at first. It didn't bother me that a lot of people didn't show up at first. It was more like satisfying to me to help people. And then as I continued on, I started seeing like, wow, this is really catching on. Like, this is getting popular.
Yeah.
And that's when I started realizing, we can really make this into something special. So the motivational factor wasn't necessarily like to try to blow up in the beginning.
Right.
It was more, it was more to just provide something to people that I felt like I didn't have. And then as it got going and it got popular, that's when I realized like, this is something legit, this is something special.
So that's crazy, man. And hearing that is a lot different than the message you hear now. Right. Because that it's what Instagram, what social media has become isn't like, hey, let's give back. Hey, let me help some other people. Let me develop a community. What Instagram has become now is, how do I get famous as quick as possible?
Yeah.
You see the rise of a lot of, not just, artists, but even like businesses. They'll come out of nowhere. They'll do some type of, fancy hashtag or something, something trendy, and they'll reach that success level. But hearing you talk, it all came back to, how can I help?
Right.
How can I give back? How can I create something else? And I think that voice is missing.
Right.
I think
it's big to understand that if you're in it for the right reasons, that never goes out of style. That never really is unpopular at any point, or you never get tired of that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That never gets old. So I think that's big for business too. You know, like if you start your business for the right reasons, you'll never get tired of it.
Yes.
And you'll always want to do it, and you'll always want to put all your effort, all your energy, and all your passion into it.
Right. Right. And even putting that message out there, like you said, for businesses. You know, I talk to business owners frequently, and a lot of them, you know, don't know what to put on social media.
Right.
So they're like, what do I put out there? Or when they put something out there and it doesn't get the reaction that they're hoping for, that's okay, this doesn't work for us. This isn't the right answer. And they don't have any longevity. They don't have enough, they haven't put out consistent content that really just shows who they are. And especially now it's transformed because it's not just posting your picture on Instagram. You know, you got the live storage, you got the ability to tell your story online on the platform, even with, you know, with temporary content.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's the missing key for a lot of businesses, creatives, individuals in general who go onto the platform with expectations. They haven't pulled back the curtain enough. They haven't put themselves out there enough to tell their story.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's where your journey is unique in that you are early on in the process. People have seen your grind. They've seen the hustle. They've seen those events take from 9 people to almost 200 at certain events from Sacramento to Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think for you, you know, one of the things that I would like to ask you is how's that, you know, social media umbrella helped you propel that message?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I started. That's all I know. And it's really incredible, like the power of the cell phone, you know, just having the world in front of me and being able to access it. Without social media, I honestly don't think I would be a photographer. I definitely wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today.
Right.
So I'm using it as a tool. And I think that's important for a lot of people to understand. It's like social media is a tool that you can use to achieve goals or whatever it is that you want to achieve.
Right.
So using it in the right way, like not blowing it up into something that it isn't, understanding that it's a tool that you can use, and if you use it in the right ways, it can be really effective.
Yes. Yes. And you know, what is it, 2 hours a day? People spend on their cell phones on social media. So the audience is there.
Right.
You know, the message needs to be delivered. And, you know, one of the messages that I give to businesses is that it's a long game. That you put your message out there, eventually it'll stick. You want to be top of mind for any types of products or services. What's that message to not just the creatives, but an entrepreneur, somebody that's trying to build their brand? It's not the old way where you're going out, you know, you have to create your website or you're making a ton of phone calls. The amount of people at your disposal on social media that tune into your story, so to speak, is immense now. And so what would be your message to that creative, that entrepreneur, that person who's really looking to use social media as a platform to leverage themselves? What would be your message to them early on in the process?
I would say, even though it sounds cheesy, just be authentic. Like, be yourself and put yourself out there. And not necessarily, because so many people try to emulate someone else or be someone else or be what they think people want them to be.
Right.
And that gets old pretty quick, you know? But if you're just yourself and you're consistent and you know who you are and you stick to that, it's easy. Like, all you have to do is be yourself. Just put yourself out there. Like, show your personality, who you are, and people will identify with that. But as soon as you start trying to be someone else or be something that you think other people want you to be, is when it gets old and you get tired of it and it gets exhausting.
And that's such a key point that you make, just being yourself, being authentic, because what gets lost in the shuffle in trying to search for building an audience or getting people captivated with your message is getting out of body, not being true to who you are. So then you start thinking of things, and then when you post things or when your message gets put out there, one of the fears that I think that a lot of businesses and a lot of individuals have is getting stale.
Yeah.
They're like, my content's dry, and they're so, you know, they're looking at their page so often that their message is like, I don't like what I'm doing because it's stale, it's not hitting as hard as I want, I didn't get as many likes, there wasn't any followers, my followers decreasing. Looking at a lot of the analytics behind it, talk to me a little bit about that, how you persevered, because I'm sure there were times where you're looking as you were growing like, man, you know, is this hitting the right audience? Am I putting the right message out there? I know you talked about transparency, but talk a little bit about your growth and how, you know, that consistency helped you.
my growth has been slow, honestly. Like, people see that I have a lot of followers now and they think that it happened all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But it's really just because I've been on for so long and I've just been consistent this entire time. I think I have almost 3,000 photos posted or something like that, which is yeah, it's crazy. It's a huge amount, but I haven't given up on just being myself and just putting myself out there. Like, it's easy to give up when you don't see the big boom, because that's what a lot of people are looking for, right?
Right.
Like, when they go on, they want to see this huge thing happen, and all of a sudden you're famous on Instagram.
Yep.
And you have to realize that there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. You're going to grow and you're going to lose. But if you're consistent throughout the whole time, you're going to come out on top.
Yeah.
And that's really just been my thing. It's just like, what drives me isn't necessarily the followers and the likes. It's just sharing my images with everyone else and seeing people's reactions to it. And so, because that's my motivation, I'm able to keep doing it, and then it just continues to grow over time.
Right. And longevity is something I think that goes unnoticed, because you want the instant success. Yeah. There's something about having a post that goes viral, or having a bunch of people interact and engage with what you do. I think that the passion gets lost in that.
Yeah.
When you're searching for something, you're searching for stardom, you're searching for instant success, you're searching the business world, they're searching for leads.
Yeah.
I didn't get a sale off of this post, or I invested $3,000 into Instagram marketing, social media marketing, and I didn't get that instant return. But what you don't realize is, over the long course, you're building an audience, you're building people, building a community that loves and that embraces, that supports your message and your mission. I think there's a ton more value in that.
Absolutely.
Building a brand, whether it's personal or business, And so going through that process, even thinking about the future, like, what would be some things that you recommend, or your thoughts even on how that will work in the future, like moving forward, using these platforms like Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, Twitter, there's so many out there. What would be your advice moving forward, how to address that?
I think as we go forward, it's becoming more and more a part of our daily lives. And so I think just really, like I said, being consistent with it, and like putting yourself out there, and not necessarily worrying about, like you said, like, think long term and not short term.
Right.
Like, figure out a way to make the tool that is social media work for you, and understand that it's not going to happen. That's the main conversation that I have with people, is like, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. But it's almost like, this is social media, whether you're an entrepreneur or a creative, like, this is your resume.
Right.
This is the new resume. Like, people don't really hand out resumes anymore. That's kind of an old thing. Like, when people reach out to me, it's because they saw my social media and they see the consistency and they see how long I've been at it, and they see that it's quality stuff. And that's the reason why I get work. And that's the reason why people respect me and they trust me.
Right.
So understanding that this is now your resume.
Yeah.
And so make sure that it looks good. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward and staying consistent and keeping a consistent message throughout your social media. And that works for business as well,
Yeah, absolutely. And having that online profile, there's a lot to it, because some people use it for just friends and family.
Yeah.
Others promote it with business, and then there's others who try to do both, where they use personal and business, and it's tough to communicate that message, because there really is a thin line.
Yeah.
There's a thin line with, how much people want to pay attention to you, how much people want to pay attention to your business or community. And I think that putting that message out there is important. You also made a good point in that consistency builds trust.
Right.
When people know who you are, it's tough to come in and get that instant return, because they haven't seen you. If you haven't been on the platform, they don't know what to expect from you. But 7 years, 8 years in the game now, you're getting opportunities now because of that.
Exactly.
And I think that's, for businesses, especially on my end, in this world, there's a lot to that. And that the more your business is in front of people, I think that it will create more opportunities. It's like if you have a commercial on TV.
Yeah.
They see it repetitively over and over again. They know that that's the message that it's a consistent message that you're delivering, But man, just hearing the story, that, we talked a little bit about the time aspect, what it was like from the beginning to the end and seeing how that growth has happened. But just talk about like a day in the life for you as an entrepreneur, creative, somebody who has a community and others that look, kind of look your way for advice and help. Talk about a day in the life and what you would go through on a daily basis.
A day could be random for me. It could be anything. It could be meetings all day. It could be editing all day, or it could be photos, or a random mixture of both.
Right.
So today, for example, I was up early for sunrise at a vineyard or winery out in Clarksburg, shooting out there. Came back, had a meeting, and now obviously I'm here with you.
Right.
And then I'm looking like, oh, it's cloudy. There might be a nice sunset. I might have to go out and shoot sunset later.
Random.
So I have to take advantage of every opportunity that I get to make the most out of my day.
Right.
Like I really can't slack. And it's like there's no time to relax and slack and let up, because as soon as I do, I'm missing opportunities.
Yeah, and they don't always come easy.
Yeah, no.
And I think just hearing that, because it wasn't like you woke up at 11 o'clock and you worked until 5. You're planning your day already. You started at sunrise. It sounds like you're going till sunset today. And for anybody that's starting a business that wants to have their own business, I think that's the right mentality to have. It's like, you never know where the day can take you. And some days it may be meetings, some days it might be getting out shooting because the lighting is right, or maybe you have to change plans, alter them because of that. So for somebody who's looking to build a profile, kind of establish themselves, build a brand, build a business, look in the camera, tell them what would you tell them right now?
I'm looking right at you guys. Take chances is the biggest thing. Take chances, take advantage of every opportunity that you get. Because a lot of times when you look back, you don't look back and think like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Usually you're thinking, man, I wish I would have done that. Or I wish I would have tried this. Or I wish I would have gone on that road trip or worked with that brand, like take as many chances as possible.
Dude, I think that's such an awesome message to close out on, man, because not enough people take chances. They're scared of the failure. They're scared to put themselves out there and hear the reception because of the wide audience.
Right.
And I think that's such an incredible point that you made, bro. So, hey, always a pleasure. Yeah, man. Always a pleasure to have you on, man. And looking forward to hearing a lot more about the growth of Good Inc. coming soon.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.